Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Welcome to another installment of the R2F show. As promised, we're here to continue our talk, updating you guys about the legal documents related to the case of Salman Rahim versus the cult of the Muslims of the America. So we are addressing that. We're going to wait for our co-host to get on. But just to kind of recap what we've already talked about is we talked about the initial complaint that Salman sent in, basically the initial notice to that he's suing Tmoa. And then we covered the document which confirmed the hearing date. And the hearing is just basically where both sides with their legal teams kind of touch base of where they're at and inform the judge like what they're pleading and all these different things. Then we covered Tmoa asking for an extension, which wasn't granted. And then we also covered Tmoa's first failed attempt to get the case dismissed, which they pretty much said or claimed that they didn't own any property in Virginia and that Salman must have been suing the wrong organization.
Yeah.
Since he doesn't know who he's suing. So that's what we covered. And I hope for all those who are just joining us for this show, or just if you're tuning in later and you started with part 3, you should really go back to parts 1 and 2, because a lot of the information we covered in those first documents, we're going to be referencing them when we talk about them today, because they have to do with the stuff we're going to cover in this latest motion to dismiss from Tmoa. And just to kind of give the audience, if you don't already know how these things go, I mean, if you watched any like movie that has class action lawsuits or different things like that, this is a standard protocol. If you're a company that's being sued for anything, the first action you do is just try to get the case dismissed. That's the first thing. So this is like standard protocol, and so we're gonna just jump right into it. Just kind of cover the introductory stuff, and our co-host will jump on as we go. So again, let me share my screen. So let me share my screen. Okay. So as you see here, we have the legal documents. This is, again, Salman Rahim versus the Muslims of America and Muhammad Ismail Abdul Haq. Those are the defendants. And someone had asked on Facebook, or like, what's the case number? How did they get the case number? The case number is right here. If you want to go get the documents yourself. Okay, so just take note of that. And they also asked for Salman's lawyer, which is at the bottom of the document. I can show you that real quick. Right there. Henry McLaughlin at the law office of Henry McLaughlin, 8th and Main Street. So you could easily look them up on Google or something if you want to get in contact with them. So there's that. All right, so let's just get right into it. This is a motion to dismiss from the Muslims of America at 2732 Roots Creek Road. Okay. Hancock, New York, by counsel and force motion to dismiss.
Before we get into it, Jaffer, do you need to let anybody in?
Oh, yep. Hold on. There's who's is in. There we go. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, Hussein. Now he's had some time to join the show, and he's specifically coming on now. He made some time to come on now because, as you'll see, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
So, so it says the plaintiff improperly served the defendant. So this is their first claim, that they're saying Salman and his lawyer improperly served the defendant. He said the plaintiff brought forth this frivolous suit, presumably intended for the undersigned client of Hancock, New York, however, improperly served it upon another Muslim community instead. So they're still going with this claim that the TMOA that owns the land is somehow a different TMOA than who's now submitting another motion to dismiss, right? They're saying they're separate entities, right? I mean, right off the bat, lie, right? Lie. We know TMOA owns that land, and that's who he's suing. Now, you guys can work out the details, whether you guys have two different sister offices or companies, but this is TMOA. That's who he's suing. And that's probably what they'll work out at the hearing is like, okay, this is the same people. The second point is they say, although filed in Charlotte County Circuit Court on October 13, 2023, TMOA received the plaintiff's complaint on November 8, 2023, via a tertiary party who, after reading the statements in the complaint, passed it forth to TMOA. Okay. So they're saying that pretty much the other company, the other organization, passed it on to TMOA, right?
They ain't hesitate with the lying.
Yeah. So either way, like what's going to happen, like the worst possible case that could happen, right? Say the judge says, okay, MOA and TMOA are two different organizations. All he's should require them to do is just basically submit the petition on TMOA with the address of Roots Creek Road, Hancock, New York. It's literally just an administrative thing. That's it. So, but they want the case dismissed on that. And then again, the worst that could possibly happen, say a judge does say, okay, this case is dismissed. They're going to tell their lawyer, submit another petition with the right company on it. That's the worst that could possibly happen. But in the sake of saving time and effort and everybody's energy, they most likely will just deal with it at the hearing and have the right people just named in the lawsuit, because everybody knows MOA and TMOA are the same thing.
All right.
Okay. They say the next point they bring up is there's no such landlord-tenant relationship exists, nor has there been eviction of the plaintiff. So they're basically claiming there's no landlord-tenant relationship, and we never evicted Salman, right? So this is right here. If you pay attention, they've already contradicted their first point, right? They're saying we're not the right people. Then the next point, they go on to defend themselves and say, we didn't have a landlord relationship with them, and we never evicted them. So, but when you get to the details, you'll see how they actually contradicted this whole point. Because if that was your dismissal,
right,
it would have ended right there. Right? It would have ended right
the
there.
whole document's a contradiction.
Yeah, we're not them. We're not the right people. We don't know what's going on. We want to dismiss so they can go sue the right people. But now they go ahead and start defending themselves in the next statement. So they say that the plaintiff resides on property in which more than 90% of the residents are related to him. I don't know about that, but 90%.
He's made up a number.
Okay,
hold on, Joshua.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you even get to that, we gotta touch on this. No such landlord-tenant relationship exists, nor has there ever been eviction of the plaintiff. The letter from Ishmael automatically contradicts that, because he says in his own writing with his signature that he had to dismiss Sal, and once you're dismissed, you're kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have proof right here in the complaint that Sal gave that that's already a lie off the bat.
And look,
and also for
Virginia.
For a group that has no relationship with him or whatever, they sure do know a lot of details about the property he does reside on and the makeup of that property. Right. They know they know all the details about the property that he's on, but allegedly he has no dealings with them. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go any further, I mean, everyone who's listening tonight knows that first paragraph has been just chock full of lies. So again, I mean, we could literally do the whole rest of the show just on lying. But I'm actually going to cite some hadiths as we move further along regarding liars, because this is literally getting ridiculous. First paragraph, out the gate, you're lying. Why are you lying? Why? For what? Everyone who's looking at this right now knows that this first paragraph is just full of lies. To try to pretend that y'all aren't who we know y'all are, knock it off.
Look, they said, look at this. Another Muslim community instead.
Like, I mean, stand on business. If y'all are Tmoa, claim y'all Tmoa loud and proud.
Yeah,
Right.
as if they have no affiliation with this other, just some other random community. I mean, it's really it. I mean, I don't know that there was much credibility, at least not with us, but I mean, with your members. I mean, the people who are, still consider themselves to be members. I mean, this first paragraph, at the very least, has to lose significant credibility with you.
Absolutely.
And I'll just think about, for this thing, which they did, where the leaders were so quick to denounce that whole community. They denounced the whole community down there, right? There's a whole nother. But just think about how quick they'll denounce you if anything other, like, seriously goes on, more significant. How quick they are to denounce you.
And if y'all notice, before Noor came on the scene, I mean, New York was, and maybe it still is, was considered the headquarters. I mean, that's the main. I mean, that's like the White House at Tmoa. That's like the Washington D.C. That's where, the final decisions and main moves are made. And they literally, basically, in this, statement, just to begin off the top, basically pretty much said we putting them at a distance. So if they will do that to an entire community, what about just one of you, just a single individual, single family, or whatever that gets on the wrong side of things?
Yeah.
I mean, we have well over enough evidence and information to realize and understand that if you piss them off, or if you get on the wrong side of what they believe or what they think is, I guess, law, you'll find yourself where a lot of us have found ourselves, just standing on truth, standing on business, standing on what's real, standing on what's from the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Last Messenger. Where are we now? We're on the other side. Let's be very, very clear. Just 3 or 4 months ago, our brother Salman was on the other side. You understand? Now, he had some of his doubts, or he had positions that, maybe he disagreed with some of them, but he's way on the other side, as if he never even existed on that side. Yeah. Why? Because he defended himself, he defended his family, he defended his family's honor. Come on, y'all. This is egregious. And honestly, I'm about to read this first hadith. I'm sorry, before we go on any further, because I want this to be simmering in people's brains as we're going on through this motion. So, the signs of a hypocrite are 3. Whenever he speaks, he tells a lie. Whenever he promises, he breaks his promise. Whenever he entrusts, he betrays. Sahih Bukhari. Come on, y'all. Come on. And we really got to think about this and how it applies to us. We have to think about that. I'm reading another one. Hold on, let me get a nice juicy one. Oh, okay. Well, this is good. Lying leads to obscenity, and obscenity leads to hell. A man continues to lie until he is recorded with the law as a liar. Sahih Bukhari. Stop it now. I mean, I know you're not going to stop, because inside of this motion to dismiss, full of lies. And anyone who is sitting here right now listening and is about to listen to this whole duration, you're going to know everything was a lie. And people who know Salman personally, it's offensive and it's egregious, and his family should be in an uproar, but they're not. Yeah. Make it make sense. But carry on with the lies.
But even if I could just say something last.
Go ahead. I'm hopping out.
Real quick.
You see how much we're going in on this one paragraph? We're on the first page.
It's hard to get past this, but for the people, maybe the parents or the wives or the husbands of people who are going to be called upon to tell lies. So some people, some of these young people are going to be, through the course of this process, depending on how long it goes, they're going to be called upon to tell lies. Some of your children, okay? Maybe a husband whose wife is going to be called upon to tell a lie, or vice versa. The husband is going to be. You have to look and listen to the hadith that Hussein just mentioned, and know that if you stand by or encourage your loved ones or your family members to lie, not only will they get that punishment for lying, but you also will get a share too. So you really have to think about it. If you don't care about your own loved ones, think about yourself, because you know, will also be, once you encourage them to do so and support them in doing that, you're going to share in what Allah is going to punish them with. So think heavily about that before you proceed.
Yeah. I mean, just the wildness.
This is
try to pretend.
Let me hop in real fast.
I can't believe it. I mean, this is worse than I remember reading. Go on.
Just on the first page shows you their lack of honor and shows you their wet napkin resolve, because a whole bunch of pressure was even applied. The first page, they threw their whole belief system under the bus. They're claiming that they are not Tmoa. That shows you their resolve. Y'all letting cowards lead y'all. Y'all claim to be honorable, and I'm sure y'all privy yourselves brave, but y'all being led by cowards with no resolve that don't even believe in their own words. And it's showing you right here on the first page. They threw everything away. So imagine what's to follow in these next pages. It's incredible.
And then Mubarak mentioned it, but I hope you guys might have missed it. But this whole sentence about the resident is related to 90%. Who cares? Who you could still get wrongfully evicted out of a property that your whole family lives on. But what they're doing is
for them.
They're trying to paint a picture as if they're talking like they really, and that when we get through this, you're going to really question their legal counsel for even allowing something like this to be submitted as a legal document, right? So what's going to happen is you'll see that they're writing this as if they're writing a memo to TMOA members, right? That's how they're writing it. And you'll see how, like, in the memos and messages they message to y'all, they try to paint a certain picture to get your emotions involved in it. So they're trying to paint a picture by mentioning, like, he lives there with all his family members, right? And then on said property, the residents look after each other's interests and adhere to the same religious beliefs, while familiar ties strengthen the communal connections. Religious values are what bonds the community together. There is no lease agreement. There's all this. Are you giving dawah to the judge? It's like, what are you trying to do here? Community religious values are what bond. He could be an atheist and he'd be like, what the hell are they talking about? Religious. Yeah. I think religious is bad and all this, but they're trying to paint a picture to create a soft spot. And again, as Mubarak pointed out, they know a lot about this community that is not them. Right.
And let me mention something else real quick, because it keeps coming up, and you'll see this with almost everything that they do. But like how they mentioned, 90% of the people who live there are his relatives. That's called a red herring. It's something to get you distracted or to send you kind of on a wild goose chase and distract from the main point. It doesn't matter, as Jaffer said, it doesn't matter if they're his family members. They could be his children. They could be his parents. Your family members can evict you from a property. You can have a property dispute with anyone. But it's a red herring to try to, in one way, get you confused. Another way to get you to think, oh, well, it's just a family dispute between them. It's not like, there's something else. So to get you distracted and get you emotional, this is what red herrings do. They get you emotional about something, distract you, get you off of the main point, and also keep you from realizing what they're really doing and saying. They want to try to push it onto him, and so you'll get tied up in some minor details about what he could possibly be doing or not doing, or who's involved, and get it away from them, what they have done, what their involvement is, and what they're culpable of. So be careful for their red herring, because they use it a lot. They will use red herrings throughout this whole document, and they use it throughout their history.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to be.
That's a very good point.
That's a really good point. I'm gonna try to behave as much as I can, and I mean seriously, I really am. But this is a very offensive situation for me because I actually care about Salman. I care about his family. You know, I know his family. I know his children. You understand? I know his mother. I'm actually very close with Salman, for those who do not know. And I mean, you're even in the line, it was saying that we look after each other's interests and stuff. Okay, so I have next level information. Who's looking after Salman's family in his absence? I mean, come on. If y'all want to do this, we can do it. Who's looking after his children? Who's looking after his wives? He's gone. Y'all displaced him from his home. I mean, are y'all serious? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says a Muslim's property, their blood, and their honor is sacred. A Muslim's property, their blood, and their honor is sacred. Make it make sense for all of us. Make it make sense for all of the viewers. You have no right to do such a thing. And when Salman dares to defend himself, try to paint this picture as if he's something other than what he hasn't been the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And so touch on that red herring point real fast. So why would you have to use that unless you're trying to hide something, unless you don't want somebody to get through the truth? If you were telling the truth, you would welcome it. You'll welcome everybody to come. Look, this is the truth. But once again, we keep proving over and over they're lying and they have something to hide, period. They don't want y'all to get to the truth, period.
Well, the truth is coming. And the truth ain't afraid of no falsehood. So,
and out of that whole paragraph, the only thing that's relevant is this right here. They're claiming that there is no release agreement. All the other stuff, like I said, is just distractions and meaningless. Like if a lawyer or a judge reading this is just going to read out all that, like this doesn't mean nothing. Okay. Fourth point. They say the plaintiff began to display antisocial behavior by returning to illegal activities after being once rehabilitated through the federal justice system. The plaintiff's brother-in-law and the other defendant in this case, Mr. Ishmael Abdul Haq, attempted to intervene and convince him to return to being an upstanding Charlotte County civilian and community member to no avail.
Okay, take a guess at what this is. It is called a red herring. All this information is irrelevant. It's not true, but it's not, even if it was, it really doesn't matter as far as this case is concerned. So you're saying y'all don't have a lease agreement with him. So what do you care about his behavior? You act like you didn't even know him. You act like he was on some other property that doesn't belong to you. So how is it now that you're talking about, you know so much about him, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is a red herring. Get you to think, well, is this guy a criminal? Is he a bad guy or whatever? Instead of, did you have a lease agreement with him or not? Okay.
Guess what? If this is true, you can wrongfully evict a criminal.
yes. So this is good. Like a red herring. It's to distract you from whether or not they're wrong in what they did to him. So instead of saying, well, we're not wrong in what we did to him because what we did XYZ, instead they want you to believe that he's a bad guy, he's a criminal, and he's dangerous or whatever the case may be, so that you won't even consider the fact of whether he's right or wrong. You're like, well, this is a bad guy. We probably should punish him in some way, or we probably shouldn't side with a bad guy. You know, this is what the red herring is, to distract you and get you off of the main point, get the attention off of them, and try to muddy up the waters so that by the time you get to the end of it, you're trying to figure out, well, what, you know, you might be talking about, well, what did he go to jail for? Did he go to jail, whatever? And that's not even relevant to this case.
To your point, Mubarak, this only works in Candyland. You ever play that game Candyland? No, I'm saying this only works the malarkey and jargon. We call it pish posh or bullets. The bullets that was used inside of that little paragraph right there, that's only going to work on gullible community members or Jamaat members. That's not going to work in a court system, in a court setting. Just like y'all said, they're going to be able to just go right to the points that are relevant, and all the rest of that is fluff. So it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to work in a real court setting. So,
And it doesn't mean anything specifically when you had your mayor say the reason for this dismissal is a community because of your refusal to pay membership dues. Because you're verbally expressing you're not going to pay membership dues because you don't know where they go. So he clearly said why they kicked him out. Exactly. But you go here, they say, yeah, you know, his brother-in-law approached him because he was displaying anti-social behavior. So like these are dumb statements that they use on y'all. Sorry, TMOA members. Yeah. This is the dumb crap that y'all listen to. Like, oh, anti-social behavior. Okay, what was the anti-social behavior? And why mention mention anti-social behavior when you could just say he returned to criminal activity? What's the illegal activity? Because if this was something true and it was relevant to the case, and I'm submitting a petition, I'm going to actually say what those illegal activities are. This dude started selling drugs. This dude started doing X, Y, Z. And you guys know Sal more than me. Was he ever rehabilitated through did he ever get locked up in the federal justice system?
No, I don't believe it was that type of situation. I can get more information, but I know that back in the day, he did have a little situation, which most people do, you know, when you're young, 18, 19 years old.
So he's a kid and he had gotten to some stuff.
I mean,
and really? Whatever.
Yeah. So I don't even want to, I want to get back to the other part. I mean, because can you pull that up again real quick?
Yep.
Pull that up one more time.
Why you pulling that up? Who is Brother Ishmael to be intervening and convincing anybody to become an upstanding citizen? What type of therapist is he?
This is what they're trying to establish. See, look, it basically saying they're all family who lives there, and his family, Ishmael, because they look after each other's interests and adhere to the same religious beliefs, his brother-in-law came to intervene and help him pretty much. Like convince him, like, come back, stop committing the crimes, stop being antisocial. This is the picture they're trying to paint, that this is just Salman's just some like violent criminal, which we'll get to the violent part later. This low down, dirty criminal that went back to doing crimes, and his brother tried to help him, and then that's what this is all about.
And the thing is, the first sentence in point 4. Y'all can try to help me make sense of this. It says the plaintiff began to display antisocial behavior by returning to illegal activities. So, I mean, so is his illegal activity the antisocial behavior, or after once being rehabilitated? I mean, what's the problem with antisocial behavior? Like, if you don't want to be social with me, I mean, why is that a problem?
Listen, let's just cut through the whole situation with a knife. That statement right there is not true. Not only is that not true, why don't y'all just stand on y'all business? Why don't y'all just stand on what's true and what's real? Why not just put into this document right here the real reason why Fileman was dismissed? Simply erase all of this malarkey and put in because he wouldn't pay membership dues. Obviously, I have the awareness to understand how bad that's going to look, because if you put that into this document, then the next logical question anyone with a half a brain is going to ask, what are membership dues? Then you guys are going to open up a whole nother can of, you know what I mean, X, Y, and Z, which I know you guys don't want to open up, but that's the real situation here. Why are you putting all this malarkey? Why don't you be consistent with the document that you sent out to the community members and put that in there? Put it in there because that's the real reason. But no, you're trying to hide something. Why?
So
yeah, I guess him being antisocial was him not paying membership dues, I guess. But once again, how can he be antisocial if he's always present and cooking? He's always working, taking care of his family. He works as a campus executive chef who works with thousands of students and stuff. So where is the antisocial behavior? It's simply because he refused to pay y'all the money. It's simply put.
Yeah, and then where's the evidence of him returning to? Did he get arrested recently? Did he get locked up? He's doing jail time, prison time? No, not at all. So you basically even if he did, like, again,
See, they
And
got
we're
us
not
with the
saying
red herring.
Sale
This
did.
this is the point of the red herring. They actually got us right now because we're discussing this, Joan, and it's not relevant to the case
Not at all. Yeah,
They literally
exactly.
got us with this.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like even if like to make this claim, right? Even if like you're a landlord, someone's living in your apartment, and you see him on the corner, like he might be someone you know from being a kid, and as a kid he used to stand on the corner and sell drugs or whatever, but then he got locked up, he got rehabilitated by the justice system, and then you rent him an apartment, right? As an adult, has kids, then you see him standing on the same corner again, kind of looking like he's doing the same stuff he used to be doing when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go and say, you know what, get out my apartment, you're done. No, you can't do that. You can't.
Right.
That's still a wrongful eviction. So
Right.
even again, this has nothing to do with what they're actually being sued for.
No, it just has to do with the membership dues.
And keep in mind that Uncle Arlene made a good point in which he was at one point in time. I don't know how recently he was responsible for collecting these membership dues. So you have a person who's so antisocial that and involved in criminal activity that he's returning to, that you eventually had to remove him from the community or whatever. But at the same time, you find him honest enough, responsible enough, trustworthy enough to put the funds that you collect in his hands. I mean, make that make sense.
Oh man, he would always lead Salat as well. Let's be very clear here. He was a very well respected, functioning member inside of the community. This is all this is malarkey, and everyone who knows Sal, including his family, his brothers and his sisters, and everybody else, they all know that this is BS. Everyone knows this.
And what I want to point out too is, so just look at this. So, and to convince him to being an upstanding Charlotte County civilian and community member, to no avail. So at least you have established something that if I'm the plaintiff lawyer, I was like, okay, so I can agree with one thing in the sentence, that he was an upstanding Charlotte County civilian community member. We'll agree on that. But now you prove that he stopped being that, and they'll have to prove that. So now they just established right now that at some point in time during this whole period, Sal was an upstanding Charlotte County civilian and community member. Okay. Now go prove the rest of your claim.
Meanwhile, the person, this is a good point that regular Joe pointed out, man. This is a good point. Oh, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you. The one who is trying to convince him to be an upstanding community member, and with this counselor or whatever, is a convicted felon. So I mean, it's like, and we can't say that someone who is a convicted felon can't turn themselves around and can't get themselves back together and do it right. But you have a person who does not have this issue, and a person who literally does. They got papers. I mean, they got some real paper.
Be loyal.
Yeah, and they're the one who has been who is the one who is put in charge or has been deputized to try to convince a person who already is an upstanding citizen to be an upstanding citizen. It really doesn't make sense. If you have two people, one of them has a track record and he has been convicted of felonies in the past, and you have a person who hasn't. Even if you're just trying to figure out, okay, who should I at least look to for as far as being the one that probably is most likely not going to be the trustworthy one in this case, or not going to be the one who's the upstanding Charlotte County resident or citizen or whatever. Probably, I'm going to have to go with their history. The felon is the one that I'm going to not trust outright, and the one who has a reputation of being a decent Charlotte County resident, I'm gonna trust, and then we can go from there and then look at the facts. But so far, a lot of facts. I haven't seen a lot of facts. I've seen a lot of subjective and information that's really not relevant to the situation at hand. Like I said, they got us with the red herring.
This next part, and I just noticed this. This next part is very deep because when people are liars, right? What good liars do often is they make sure they include some truth in their lies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now to identify their lies and kind of break down their lies is if you go to that truth point, right, and then go out from there, it's kind of easy to identify the rest of the lies. So this part right here. Oh no, wait. Okay, this number 5.
Yeah, we're on 5.
The plaintiff and his brother-in-law, Muhammad Ismail Abdul Haq, have had a series of verbal disagreements. During a particular disagreement, Mr. Haq wrote the plaintiff a letter in an attempt to get him to comply or that he should leave the property. They just confirmed Salman's whole case.
Absolutely.
Right.
That one statement.
Absolutely.
One statement. They just said everything that Sal put in this complaint is right. Because what they just confirmed, they confirmed this letter. Yep, we know Mayor Ismail Abdul Haq of Tmoa sent Salman this letter to comply with membership dues.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
and try to get him to leave.
Yeah. Not to mention, just a few paragraphs above, they're saying that he is probably part of another community that doesn't have anything to do with them, and he mistakenly found them or whatever. So he mistakenly, filed it against y'all. But they literally,
both communities magically, seamlessly know each other. So they both know each other. They're both aware of this, but yet it's some other magical community. Like, y'all, stop it. Seriously, cut it out. I mean, this is a bad look.
Just because somebody lies constantly doesn't mean they're good at it.
Right.
You just got to pay attention, especially when liars have to put stuff in writing and they have to actually answer and prove. Like if they're just talking to some random person that doesn't know what's going on, they're like, oh yeah. You sell, man, we was out there doing he was messing up, doing drugs and all. Yeah, we had to get him out of there. But you basically confirm that Muhammad Ismail Haq had a disagreement and he sent him a letter. And you confirm the letter in Sal's initial complaint, which confirmed that he had to leave because of membership dues. And you just also confirmed that he had to leave the property. He should leave the property. That is an eviction. You just confirmed you evicted him over not paying membership dues.
A property that allegedly Salman doesn't even live on. They're talking about him leaving a property that they have nothing to do with.
Go back to the letter. Go back to the other letter so we can highlight it again. Go right back there. All right. So it's highlighted. The brother put his name up there as the mayor. What do mayors do? What position of authority do mayors have? And he's telling you exactly which land he's talking about and referring to. Then he goes down here and says, officially inform you of your dismissal from Tmoa's property in Virginia. I don't understand how this is at all confusing to anyone.
He gives the name of the land, his telephone number, the day, and he puts his nice signature on it.
Yes.
And he gives the contact information for the organization. Like, it's all there. You know, 0.5.
Yeah, whose background noise is that?
I could just imagine being Sal's lawyer and just like salivating at like just reading this, like, oh man, I got these dudes. All right, so 0.6 says Ishmael does not own property, nor does he have the capacity to restrict the plaintiff from entering or leaving said property belonging to Tmoa, as evidenced by a letter referenced in the plaintiff's complaint, which quotes Mr. Haq as stating, "You can speak to our honorable Shuro counsel, express your concerns, and get your questions answered, and then become compliant." Further, Mr. Haq was not acting on behalf of Tmoa when approached the plaintiff. So, real quick, just what they just did. I'll go to the last sentence first. Haq was not acting on behalf of us. That's called throwing in brother under the bus. I wanted to say a different word, but they threw the brother under the bus. He ain't with us. But here's how they contradicted themselves just in this paragraph. They tried to use Ishmael's letter as proof, right? That what he said in his letter is proof that he didn't have what does it say? He says he did not have the capacity to restrict the plaintiff from entering or leaving the said property belonging to Tmoa. again, we don't own any property in TMOA. They served us wrong. This is a whole different community, but we do own that property. This is so ridiculous. But if you go back to his complaint or the letter that Ishmael sent him, he said, the purpose of this letter to inform you of your dismissal from TMOA property in Virginia, pending the Honorable Shura Council decision and or meeting with you. So this is a key
don't forget this word right here. This word right here. Officially.
Which one?
To officially. Right here.
Officially.
The purpose of this letter. Yes.
Officially.
And so that so I mean, usually if I'm like, hey, I'm just going to give you a heads up, you're about to be evicted. Now, you could say, well, he's not acting on behalf of TMOA, but he said the purpose of this letter is to officially inform you. So they might be saying he's not acting upon, but obviously he believes that he is acting, with some authority with TMOA. So there's a liar here. Either the Ismail, he went rogue and like he decided that he gave himself a title or something like that. And why he's calling himself the mayor? I mean, that seems like an official title. So I would think that a person who has been labeled and named as the mayor of a community can do things in an official capacity on behalf of that community. I think that's what a mayor's job or responsibility entails, carrying out some official duties on behalf of that community. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. So if he's saying he did it officially to inform him, so there's I think it's stating the obvious, there's some inconsistencies here in documentation here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just bring up another hadith because it appears to me at this point, I'm of the belief and understanding now that it really truthfully doesn't matter what we say, what the evidence is. It appears that people are going to continue because it's more convenient. It's more comfortable. It's more convenient for people to just continue. No one's really going to have that level of heart to stand up and be like, man, this is crazy. They might feel like it in their heart, some of them, but they're going to be too scary to really do anything. They'll just continue allowing this stuff to go on because I've spoken to so many people. Not one person has told me that what happened to Salman is right or fair or legit or acceptable. Everyone has told me it's unacceptable, it's wrong, they shouldn't have done this, they shouldn't have done that. Yet, everyone's going to look at this, read this, understand, man, they're telling lies and still not care.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It really is a disease. I'll hold the hadith for later, inshallah.
And again, look, this letter very clearly says that he's kicked out pending an Honorable Shura Council decision and or a meeting with you. So basically, at this point, he's kicked out unless Shura Council overturns and gives him a basically the decision to come back, or he meets with them and he reiterates your dismissal from the community property is because of whatever. So that letter confirms why he was kicked out. It actually disagrees with their statement above, saying they were having a disagreement because he was trying to rehabilitate him and whatever. And they're saying Mr. Ishmael Haq doesn't own the property, which doesn't matter. He's suing Mr. Haq because he enforced the decision from representing TMOA to kick him off the property and wrongfully evict him. And he said he doesn't have the capacity to restrict the plaintiff from entering or leaving the home. No, that's why he sent the security force to go do it. Right? We already know that's what happened. That they did have the capacity to restrict him from going to his house. That's why when he tried to return home, they tried to block him from coming home, and cops had to be involved in all these different things, right? And it's saying that you can speak to Honorable Shura Council, express your concerns, and get your question answered, and then become compliant. Compliant with what? Paying membership dues. Basically, what the money that he's been giving for all these years. Point number 7 says, Salman Rahim never once contacted TMOA property owners to express any issues between him and his brother-in-law. Why would he express any personal issues between him and his brother-in-law? Right here, again, they're representing that they wanted them to express the issues that he had with your organization, which you're also clarifying that or alluding to that Muhammad Ishmael represents y'all in some way. Absolutely. come to y'all organization over his alleged personal beef with his brother-in-law?
When he's not a representative of y'all, he doesn't have any position. Why would he want to do that or need to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, this is wild.
And this is a stupid statement. You're saying never once contacted TMOA property owners to express any issues between him and his brother-in-law, Ishmael, which resulted in Salman leaving his home. How would me not contacting anybody would just like, well, I guess I didn't contact Mubarak, so I guess I got to leave my home now.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
It should say which resulted in him being evicted from the property. I mean, if y'all were being honest, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But also, it's like, okay, he never once contacted TMOA property owners to express any issues. So this right here is y'all are acknowledging that he should have contacted TMOA property owners. So are y'all TMOA or not? Because in the beginning, y'all saying he meant to contact someone else, not us. But now y'all are making the case and trying to put up some sort of defense as the actual entity and the people who he originally contacted. So you told a lie in the beginning, and now you're literally, not acting like you didn't even say it. This is ridiculous. In the same, usually a lawyer, or even when you put forth legal documentation that's going to be presented in court, and you're going to have to defend in a court of law, you proofread it. You read over it, you look for inconsistency, you look for, typos, anything that's going to, misrepresent what you're actually trying to say. Who proofread this and said from the first paragraph to this paragraph and was like, yeah, okay, everything is cool. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a full-blown contradiction. Forget about the lies. I mean, it's so contradictory that I don't even see how y'all have a chance of even not only just winning, but at least not looking like a complete fool in front of any competent judge. This is amazing.
On top of that, to make it even more preposterous, TMO is the big organization in this whole situation, right? If brother Ishmael went rogue against y'all, why did y'all not contact Sal as the big organization and clear the air and clear your name if y'all keep claiming he went rogue and y'all have all Sal's contact information? It makes literally no sense. You're lying through your teeth. You ain't want that.
So like just this is the situation we have here. If anybody's ever rented like an apartment like in an apartment complex, or even just an apartment like a house and maybe a multi unit place or whatever, sometimes these places have like what they call soups or property managers or other things where the person that actually owns the property doesn't actually deal with anything of the property. It could be an organization, it could be a corporation, it could be an individual, right? But there's somebody there who deals with the tenants, does the fix-ups and all that, right? So what TMOA is saying, our soup or our property manager had issues with the tenant. And even though we don't, even though we own the property, the tenant should have contacted us as property owners when our representative, our soup, the property manager, kicked them out. Should have contacted us and said, no, nobody will do that, because the person is running your property. They're going to listen to the guy. Oh, I guess I got to go. They're kicking me out. That's what's going to happen in every situation. Otherwise, every property owner in America would run the same tactics. Yeah, go run that. Don't tell me nothing. So that when the house falls in and the house wasn't up to code, I'm just going to say, well, they should have told me, even though that the property manager was in charge, not me. No, you're going to get sued. It's very simple. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, on point 8, they say on or about October 14th, after alleged eviction, the plaintiff was on the property at his residence and contacted the Charlotte County. Just the first time I read this, just real quick. The first time I read this, I only paid attention to the lies, really, and not the contradictions. This is like a contradiction in like every, not sentence, but every line of this document. It's ridiculous. Anyway, property at his residence and contacted the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, preemptively expecting a confrontation with one of his brothers-in-laws, Mubarak. Why would he have a confrontation with other, like the whole family? I guess it just turned against Sal, this drug dealing, scourge on society. So his problem with other brother on Mubarak. Here's the contradiction real quick. they kind of also allege, because they say the alleged eviction. When was he allegedly, like, if he was never prevented from coming home, there would be no date for this, right? There'd be no like alleged eviction. Basically, y'all are acknowledging that at some point he had to leave his home, but you guys are just saying it's not an eviction, but he had to leave. After he had to leave, he contacted the sheriff's office, right? Expecting a confrontation with Mushtaba Rauf or Muhammad Ishmael. When the sheriff's office responded, they spoke to Mr. Haq, the plaintiff's mother, the plaintiff's brother-in-law, Mushtaba Rauf, and numerous other witnesses, and advised all that the plaintiff did not want to leave, but was leaving on his own accord and was legally able to return at his discretion. Yes, this is every officer is going to say the same thing, because you guys didn't have a right to kick him out of his home. The plaintiff opted not to return to his residence, but instead filed a frivolous lawsuit demanding damages while simultaneously admitting his years-long history of lack of contributing and accusing Tmoa of being a cult. Contributing to what? First question. Lack of contributing to what? You mean the membership dues that sent this letter that he got evicted for? Obviously. And accusing Tmoa of being a cult. When does Sal accuse Tmoa of being a cult?
Hold on. If he was admitting to years of lack of contributing, and you're aware of that, how is he still functioning member in your cult if he has been lacking contributing for years? It don't make sense.
So in these type of situations, that's a good question, Mo. Ask the right questions. Now, we can ask a ton of questions over here. Okay, where it says plaintiff did not have to leave, but was leaving on his own accord. Why would someone be leaving on their own accord from their own property in which they're filing a suit to get back into their property? Back, make that make sense. Just simply that's the right question.
That's the problem they have, is because there's going to be a police report, right? And this is what happens in these situations. So if you go into a situation, the cops are going to tell you what they can or can't legally do. So the cops told Ishmael and Mushtaba, we can't make him leave. He could stay there if he wants, right? But the cops probably also told Sal, it seems kind of dangerous here because they're threatening you to leave, right? They're pounding on your door.
That would make more sense.
Right? If you have a place to go, it might be good if you leave, so that, because when we leave, we're not going to be able to protect you. And now these cops are going to be able to be called into witness and give the context behind these statements, which works directly against y'all because y'all basically forced this man to leave his home. It's very clear.
Right. And on top of that, why would somebody preemptively let the cops know what's going on if they had ill intentions or they were going into a situation that they were good or weren't concerned about their safety or the safety of other people? Why would they contact the police department? Exactly. It just, like I told you, it's retarded.
All right, let's see. We've got point 9. The plaintiff owns a mobile home on the property, which can be removed via a mobile home transportation service, and he has never been obstructed from doing such. So again, why would he need to remove his home from the land if he could still stay there?
Right.
Why would you even offer this up?
This comment was so left field. Number 9 was just completely. They should have just whited this out when they proofread it.
Yeah, because if he's not evicted and he's allowed to come back, we never kicked him out. He can come home whenever he wants. He can go to his house whenever he wants. Hey, but by the way, you can get that crap out of here with a mobile home transportation service offered by Kari Ishmael's mobile home transportation service. Oh man, this stuff is silly. So plaintiff's litigation. Then the next point they say is plaintiff's litigation is frivolous to harass the defendant. Yeah, this is what they just started throwing all types of random ish after this. It was like, nah, what was that? I was like, I'm gonna keep it going. Oh, I got another one. Point 10. No, I got another one. So the plaintiff's aim of litigation is to weaponize this honorable court against Tmoa in an effort to intimidate and bully United States citizens for their beliefs an abstention from the dangerously extremist Wahhabi ideologies, which are the very ideals that gave birth to the nefarious groups such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which he has recently subscribed to. That's one sentence, y'all.
I mean, this is the biggest red herring. I mean, I'll give them credit. They're bold. I mean, they're bold as heck. I mean, they really was like, we're going to throw every stereotype, because they're assuming, okay, Charlotte County, Virginia, most likely the judge is going to be an old white man who most likely is going to one of usually the demographic, usually when some of their trigger points is 9/11, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, America, type situation. So they literally are trying to play on the emotions of this judge, thinking whoever we get, if we try to tie him to Wahhabi, because they're gonna know they've heard these terms before on Fox News or wherever, you know what I mean, about these things. So they really want to get this judge riled up and thinking something, forgetting about the case altogether, forget about the eviction, forget about what we did, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, terrorists, Wahhabi, they're trying to weaponize you again. And actually, that's what they're doing. They're trying to weaponize the emotions of the judge against Salman with stuff that has no relevance whatsoever. I mean, what does Wahhabi, what does that have to do with a man being evicted from his home? I mean, it shouldn't even be mentioned. But like I said, the red herrings that they use, I mean, this is a beautiful one. And it really is, but at the same time, it's kind of amateur. They really are trying to play this judge. And I wouldn't be surprised if a judge reads this, if it goes to trial or whatever, he reads this and reprimands them heavily for this.
I was literally just about to say that. I mean, they're going to get really, really torn to shreds with this one right here, because no, any competent judge is going to be able to see right through this. This is a ball of fluff. And you cannot be serious.
It's more than a ball of fluff, because if I were Salman, I would ask my lawyer to file another lawsuit for slander and defamation of character, because people get arrested for this stuff.
Yeah.
People lose their jobs for this stuff. They claimed that he is part of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They say he recently subscribed to. He didn't say he subscribed to their beliefs. They said he subscribed, which means he has become a member of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I would sue them again. Another lawsuit right in there. Okay, here we go. Keep it coming. Sue them again. Put another 500,000 on it.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. Just pay attention, everyone. Pay attention to the way the sentences are structured. Look at this sentence right here, where it starts ideas that gave birth to nefarious groups such as, and look how they tried to bolden up ISIS. You see that right there? And make sure that they put that in full cap so it can just stand out. And then Al-Qaeda. I mean, this is child's play. Really, it really is. And I feel like once this type of stuff is presented to a competent judge, y'all will be reprimanded and y'all going to be punished, because this is absurd.
And you see how it's amazing. It's amazing how the glaring omission here in this point number 10 is, I wonder if y'all caught it, that they're not claiming themselves to be Muslims in this thing. They're United States citizens. I mean, usually, the whole John Duggar, why do you hate us? We're peace-loving Muslims, blah, blah, blah. But here, this is why they're trying to play off the emotions of the judge. They're thinking possibly the judge might not like Muslims anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just say we're United States citizens, and they're trying to intimidate and bully United States citizens. Remember that, as if Salman is not a United States citizen.
Yeah.
What's going on?
On top of that, it goes even deeper, because they're weaponizing Islam to try to defend themselves, because they know that the non-Muslims put ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all that stuff, and they want to defend with Islam. So that's why they said they were United States. Yeah, that's why they said they were United States citizens, because they didn't want to say we're Muslims, because that would have put them in line with the incriminating last sentence of ISIS.
Yeah, as soon as they say it is, peaceful Muslim community or something like that, automatically, I mean, that just sounds like ISIL, Al Qaeda, you know, sure. Yeah. Well,
they pretty much said the plaintiff is basically a Muslim terrorist that's attacking us because we're United States citizens. That's in short, that's what they said in there. His only reason for doing this lawsuit is because he's a terrorist and we're United States citizens.
Now, brothers, let's not lose track. Let's not lose track of what this document actually is. It is a motion to dismiss. So their hopes is for this to never get to the courts. Yes. They are trying to submit this in hopes that the judge reads this, plays on his emotions or her emotions or whoever. Oh, yeah, let me throw this out to the side. No, that's not going to happen because this was a poorly constructed, poorly put together document. And any competent judge is not going to buy this for 1 second. So I know y'all hopes was for it to, this is y'all last ditch. Bismillah, you're just throwing something in the air. Hell Mary, just throwing something in the air.
They said Bismillah Jelani.
Right. This whole paragraph screams desperation. This whole paragraph just screams desperation. And they keep overlooking the fact that TMOA is well known in the court system in Charlotte County, Virginia. They're well known all in here. And then they're bringing up stuff in which had ties to their leader. And it's all on the news and there's documentation of all that. So they're just incriminating themselves and making themselves look foolish.
Yeah. All right. So the next point they bring up is criminal affiliations and activities. So they're going to talk about Sal's criminal affiliations, right? So the plaintiff, Sal Mann, has a criminal history of fraud and was granted a chance at redemption by the defendant, which is a humanitarian organization. First of all, Sal Mann, correct me if I'm wrong, has been a member of this humanitarian organization since he was born, correct?
That is correct.
So if he does have a history of fraud, he committed it while being a part of this humanitarian organization.
Right.
That is also correct.
So y'all actually didn't do anything. He's lived in this community his whole life, been a part of this community his whole life, and you're saying this horrible terrorist fraudster criminal, and like you're acting like he came to your group as like a rehab center or something to rehabilitate himself, and he's doing it, but he went back to his fraud ways. So now he's filing this frivolous lawsuit because he's a terrorist and hates them because they're American citizens, even though he was part of y'all since he was born.
Yeah, for absolutely no reason. Meanwhile, you know, both of his families have been on the land. He's been a participating member. He's paid y'all membership dues, all type of other fees. I mean, are y'all serious?
Yeah,
and then they're claiming to be a humanitarian organization when Didi sat up in there in the court and was saying that they are a religious organization multiple times. And now y'all are a humanitarian organization. Next week they're going to be a new organization, ice cream organization. We don't know.
They're going to be a school. IQOU Theological College. We're a school.
We know electricity.
Yeah. All right. Despite the defendant's tireless efforts, Salman continuously aligns himself with known criminals such as Hussein Haq.
A known criminal.
Who is currently charged in a criminal trespassing case as a result of entering TMOA's property unlawfully. Okay, Hussein Haq.
Yeah.
So you are a known criminal.
So apparently it's the same situation with Salman. I've been this known criminal, yet I've been part of this organization. I've helped build the masjid. I've helped, you know what I mean, landscaping, build the bars, all these different type of things. Have all type of family members all involved in the community. Yet I am this magical criminal. Yet no one can prove any of this. You understand what I'm saying? So again, these type of lies, it's really. I'm just going to read. I'm about to get my phone. Let me read this hadith because we're doing this.
So, and just to correct us if we're wrong, but in your case, it was dismissed, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm here. So if I was
it was dismissed, and you were never actually charged with anything.
No.
Ooh, look in the comment section. Regular Joe just made a great point.
Did Hussein Haq enter the same property that TMOA says they don't own? Yeah, actually, I did. I just thinking some random stuff. What was I thinking?
But no, but that's a good point because it's the same TMOA property that they said they don't own.
Right.
But you're not.
and they play these word games, and one of the things that they're used to doing is they'll say some things to their community members, and expect that y'all are not smart enough.
Right.
But really, let's just be clear.
Right.
They think you're stupid. They think
Right.
you're too dumb to realize that what they're saying doesn't add up, and it's not even correct to say it. Like them saying he's been charged. No, they accused him.
Right.
So that's like if you accuse me, hey, he's a thief. Okay, I ain't been charged with nothing. You can accuse me. People get accused of all types of stuff. But for him to be charged, that means he was tried and convicted, or he was tried. That means he was tried as, if he was charged. Okay, they tried to convict him. But even if he was tried, at the end of the day, in a court of law, you wonderful United States citizens, you upstanding Charlotte County, Virginia residents, you people, y'all should know, that in America, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
And without a shadow of a doubt, Hussein wasn't proven guilty of anything. Definitely not criminal trespassing.
The mere fact that I'm here on this live is proof and evidence that, I'm not afraid of any of this. I'm not hiding out in some cabin or a corner in Tennessee somewhere, hunting animals and all this other stuff. I'm not doing none of that stuff. I'm literally right here. I am, speaking to you all. And I have nothing to fear. Why? Because the truth stands on its own. The truth doesn't need a prop. The truth is not afraid of falsehood. The ones who are false, the ones who are telling lies, they're the ones who be running for the, the corners and the hills and stuff. Now I'm about to read this hadith again. And again, I want to keep on reading these because at some point these need to sink in. If your heart is to be true indeed, and you aspire to go to the paradise, you aspire to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love and his mercy, y'all have to stop this stuff. Seriously. I'm talking to these fake leaders and all these people lying. Knock it off. It's a really bad look and it's going to harm your character. Truthfulness. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Truthfulness leads to righteousness, and righteousness leads to paradise. And a man keeps on telling the truth until he becomes a truthful person. Falsehood leads to wickedness, and wickedness leads to hellfire. One keeps on telling lies until he is written as a liar before Allah. This is Sahih Bukhari. Come on, you all. But you know what? I'm going to go even further. You know what I think is truly going on? Because I've been doing a lot of thinking about why everyone is behaving like this. I personally think that Mubarak Galani has got these people so whipped up in their minds. Remember how we would go to a retreat and he would just tell us that it was the equivalent of us making Hajj, or all of our sins was forgiven because we, we said this random dua, or we, praised him or sung a song or some goofiness. These people are still living into that mentality. They think, I'll just keep telling lies. I'll just keep doing this. I'll rob you.
I'm going to have to challenge you on this.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say that the average TMOA member would never submit no bull crap like this at court. Would never. You know where this is coming from? You got to think of who doesn't know reality the most in TMOA. Who's been indoctrinated under a cult leader, not knowing what the real world is like. Until recently, maybe someone might have passed away and they actually got chance to step outside and experience the real world. Who's going to come to America and be like, you know what? We're just going to tell them that they're ISIS and Al Qaeda, and the judge is going to just rule in our favor. Who do you think that might be?
Who is Zainab Adams?
Correct. This is all from Zainab Adams, and because it's a cult, and because they can't tell her no, she sat down. I'm getting Allah knows best, but she probably sat down with the two lawyers in TMOA and just started throwing stuff out there. And she's like, put this in there. Make sure that's in there. Then those two lawyers went to their actual legal counsel, was like, this is what we want to submit, and kind of bullied them into submitting this because you get it. She's not in touch with reality, right? She's like a little kid still, thinking that she could just say these random things and the real world's going to be like, yeah, look at these Americans. Because this is the same rhetoric that Tmoa's been pushing for the last 40 years. We're the good Muslims. We want peace. We're just American citizens. We love America. Bad Wahhabis, bad Zionists, bad whatever, Salafis, ISIS, Al Qaeda. It's all, we're the good ones.
Right.
And it's also is a telltale sign of an organization that is crumbling and it's on its last leg. It really is a shell of its former self. And one of the telltale signs is, I can't remember the quote. I can't remember the exact person who was, he had a team around him and he was able to build kind of an empire. And they asked him about how he was able to do it. And he said the people that were around him were able to be very honest with him, and he allowed that. So even though he was the leader, he was the guy, but they could tell him the truth. This is a bad idea, or this is a bad move. This is wrong what you're doing, or whatever. And he was able to take their advice, take that criticism, and use it to his advantage. When you have an organization that's whether you look at mafia or a business or whatever it might be, when the people at the top, the people who are closest to them can't tell them the truth. And if they say, or they're afraid to say, hey, this document is actually trash. We should not submit it. This is baloney. We can't do it. I'm sure someone who read it said, man, this joint is so contradictory. This joint is ridiculous. But because whoever, the leader or whoever signed up said, oh yeah, this is good. I wrote, I typed this up, or, I signed off on this, and they're just, this is great.
Is the challenge, Jaffer, is the challenge, what you're saying is basically maybe this document got pushed to that.
I hear, listening to this even more and more, I hear this is all just Noor telling them what to put in this, and them trying their best to make it legalese. Because I don't think that if you take Noor out of this picture, right? Of course, it's going to be a little silly, but some of the stuff they're going to be, especially they have lawyers, 2 lawyers in Tmoa that have a little bit of, at least of like what is standard protocol. Me not being a lawyer, all of us not being a lawyer, could read this and were like, why would any lawyer allow this to be submitted? So I think that this is primarily pushed by Noor, who, because of her upbringing, remember, she's been raised by Mubarak Jelani. She has not experienced the real world, right? Spoiled. Now she's out in the real world and has to deal with real world crap. Yeah. And she's still using the childlike mind to make decisions. Yeah, you know what? We could just tell them that we're like, that's exactly all I'm hearing right here. Over and over again, I just hear Noor's voice saying the same Tmoa rhetoric that she was raised on. I'm surprised she didn't put in here, yes, and Tmoa's leader is going to marry Issa, and that's, I'm surprised she didn't put that crap in
there. I can't hold it together. The comment was too funny.
Hold up. Let me say something. Full disclosure. Shout out to the brother who called me. A brother called me and really was like, he was really going in on us about our laughing and how we just, he's like, man, y'all so close to really getting through to people. If y'all always joking and calling people stupid, man, it's just it turns some people off. And I'm like, yeah, we really gonna try to. But
I'm serious. I feel like we've been doing good.
We really.
But come on, that was hysterical. One time too.
The document came from Lahut Lamakan, no doubt.
But the sad thing is, right?
This joke came straight from Lahut, bro.
The crazy thing is if this was pushed by Noor, right? If this was a push by Noor, she's not going to go into court and testify to none of this. Y'all going to have to go and defend this silliness the people that get put, like whoever is the officers of Tmoa, she's not going to show up in court and try to defend that. Who's Salman joined ISIS and Al Qaeda? She ain't going to say none of that. But y'all going to have to be up there and have to defend that crap.
Yeah.
So
what y'all need to say is when this joint bombs out and when this joint gets thrown out or whatever, and then when they start to point the fingers and say, man, who wrote that document? Who signed off on it, or who was the main advisor on that document? Someone better stand up and say, hey, yo, if it was Umnor, it was her. Just do it, because I mean, that's the truth. If that's the truth, then you need to say it when it goes wrong, because guess what? If it goes right, if all of a sudden the judge reads it and throws it out and they go like, yeah, they're gonna celebrate her, gonna be like, yeah, great guidance by our Morshida, our Sheikh, she really, really did for us. But if it bombs, what? She just gets to dodge that jump?
Yep.
No. She got to take the responsibility. You want to get the praise when you allegedly do something praiseworthy? Well, she should get the blame for when that jump.
let's inshallah, let's get on down the road here with some of the things, because there's a couple.
We only have one more thing in the document to cover.
So during the incident referenced in paragraph 8, that's in paragraph 8, just to remind people, is when we're talking about Salman coming back to the land and speaking to Mr. Haq and the cop saying he could stay and it was whatever, right? They're saying during that incident, Salman said they are going to get theirs as a verbal threat to the residents while exiting the Tmoa's property. Well, the lawsuit is actually manifestation of what that verbal threat was. They're going to get theirs. Yeah, I'm going to sue y'all because this statement means nothing. He didn't attack y'all. He didn't bomb y'all like ISIS and Al Qaeda. He didn't do none of that, right?
They really
went to the legal authorities.
Yeah, while they're acknowledging that he left up higher in the document, he left on his own. I mean, he just left on his own for no reason. But however, somehow y'all were there and y'all have a quote from him when he's leaving on his own, just for his own personal reasons, is saying y'all are going to get y'all's. I mean, it doesn't even make sense what y'all saying. He left on his own, but he left angry at us. I mean, it sounds like y'all evicted. I mean, he says you're going to get yours for evicting me.
Yes.
I mean, in the document is literally saying that.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So they basically say they conclude it and say we're up to defendant Muslim Americas. Pray that the court dismiss the complaint with prejudice and further for an award of its cost. They want Sal to pay for the legal fees. These niggas is so damn cheap, yo. They took y'all membership dues to pay for lawyers, and then they was gonna sue Sal to get the lawyer fees back. But guess what? They wasn't gonna refund y'all money. That was gonna go to where? Umnor.
Who is this? David C. Watkins. Is this the lawyer who wrote this show now?
He's the one that submitted it. I don't know if he wrote it, but if he did,
the signature by the Muslims of America.
No, that's the council. It says of council, I think. That's the same signature of David White. So he signed it for him, both ones.
Yeah. So clearly, you know what? And I'm gonna tell you how these things work. Sometimes is the lawyer will send you the document, all right, the petition or whatever it might be. Then you go ahead and you can change and edit some different stuff in there. And so sometimes it goes back 3, 4, 5 times until really the lawyer is not going to submit anything that you don't agree to. So the lawyer can counsel you, they can advise you, but at the end of the day, you have to give them permission to submit it on your behalf. So you get to make changes. So I'm pretty sure that I don't know. Maybe, maybe the lawyer did. But.
No, that's really what it is. Because I remember giving the lawyer a hard time, but even if, like Mubarak said, even if he did say, like, man, we shouldn't put that in there, I advise you not to. At the end of the day, the lawyer works for you, and he's going to say whatever you want to say.
They probably had maybe one of their Dollar General type of lawyers be there to try to, I guess, help with the putting together the whole document. It was probably telling him, put that in. So they have their, Tmoa.
Meanwhile, their lawyers are family law lawyers.
Yes. So I'm guessing maybe that was a situation because it doesn't make sense. Someone would just put this out, I mean, and of course you got to keep in mind too, they don't truly, the person who's putting it out on their behalf don't really know what's going on. So he can only go off of what is being told to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a situation as well. But just getting on down the road a little bit further, to talk about what has actually been going on with Salman since he has been displaced from his family. So he had got a call. He got a call, I guess, shortly before he got displaced. He had got a call. I'm going to keep all the names anonymous. But he got a call, and basically the call came from one of the alleged higher-ups, I guess as high as you can go in Tmoa. And basically they were telling him that he needed to cut ties with me. I'm one of his closest companions, and they notified him that he needed to cut ties with me. If he did not, they were going to kick him out. This is before they even kicked him out. And
so he's already on the radar.
Huh?
So he's already on the radar because he's affiliated with you.
The reason why I'm saying this is because they started this stuff way back when. So this is literally maybe a couple of months before his situation. So for whatever was going on, but the reason why I know this is because he contacted me and notified me that he had to get me out of there. He had to end our relationship, and during this time, me and him were going to the gym together. We were going back and forth to the gym and, all this type of stuff. And he was basically saying, they told me this. They gave me an ultimatum. I either get you out of here, get rid of you, or they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And so at the time, I was like, okay, well, of course, we laughed about it. We're grown men. So, of course, obviously, we had a chuckle about it. I told him, inshallah, I'll see him in a few years. If
sooner than that.
I told him this, and we chuckled about it. But in all seriousness, I told him, do what you got to do to make sure you protect your family. And a lot of times, men are constantly put in these situations where we have to protect our loved ones. That's our job. But it does not help when the people that we're protecting are underneath us going rogue. It creates conflict. It creates all different types of situations. So I'm saying that to say, to go a little bit further, when Salman got displaced from his family, he went over to one of his family members' houses where he felt comfortable. Typically, any one of us as men, we're going to have relatives and people and family members that we can go over their house and stay a couple of days, couple of weeks if we need to. But what are we going to do? We're going to go to the place where we feel the most comfortable. We're going to go there. You understand? So he went to one of his sister's houses on a completely different land.
It was actually on my family's property.
I was trying to be nice, bro. I was trying to.
I don't care nothing about that. Let me hop on in. Let me hop in where you came from, because this is going to bring the whole document together. Because of course we have more information that isn't on documents as what has been going on behind the scenes, as we're actually a part of it. So Tmoa in this document feigned ignorance, innocence, and then tried to play the victim. But after Sal did willingly leave and go wherever he went, they went out their way to continue finding him, stalking him, and shaking everybody that he'd known had a relationship with down. And they proceeded to go to my property where he was staying with his sister and started shaking my family members down, telling them that they had to break ties with Sal or else this and that. They went to multiple of their properties. They went to the Tmoa Maharan property where Fatima Brewster wrote that horrible document. That first note was dismissed. They went over to that property as well. They went and did a full shakedown. So you are claiming innocence.
Not only did they,
yes, they sought out. And if that's not emotional abuse and intent to harm, like Sal claimed in his complaint, then I don't know what is. When y'all went up and out of your way, you're claiming
so why would a person feel comfortable coming back to a property that is owned by y'all, ran by y'all, where someone basically wrote a letter confirming that he basically strongly suggested that he should leave, right? And then when he does leave, they actually go to all the places that he's trying to seek refuge at and saying, no, you guys can't let him here there, or let him stay there either. Basically just, it's almost like when the Meccans basically ousted, like, get out of here, Rasul or something, but you can't go nowhere. Right. Yeah. And we're going to try to attack anybody that takes you in as well. So why do you think he called the cops when he returned home? Any rational person would do that.
And to be very, very clear, when they were going to do these little shakedowns or whatever, they were literally threatening people with removal and dismissal of the community if they did not comply. And the reason why we know this is because one brother, I'm going to keep his name anonymous, he notified them, no, that is my family member. This is un-Islamic, and I'm not going to comply with this. I'm not going to dismiss him and disown him because he's done nothing wrong. That same person who stood up and said that was immediately removed from the land and the community.
Well, of course. Well, we had the sister on Monday, that she made a post online basically mimicking what Noor said in their public meeting. Like, basically, everybody mind their business. She got kicked out. Her father got kicked out for contacting us and defending Tmoa. He got kicked out. So, of course, if you aid and abet the terrorist, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, fraudster, federal non-rehabilitated Salman, they're going to kick you out too.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And someone made a good comment in the comment section. Sounds like oppression to me. So what do we know as Muslims? You don't understand about oppression. You don't oppress anyone, nor do you allow yourselves to be oppressed. You don't allow yourselves to be oppressed, and you do not oppress people. This is clear oppression. And everyone who's sitting under this and allowing this to take place, you're just as guilty. You're enablers, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because if we in this community allegedly is one that follows the Sunnah and they're lovers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they follow his way, according the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when she said that help your brother whether he is the oppressor or the oppressed. And the Sahaba asked, well, we understand how you can help the oppressed, because like what we're doing now, we're trying to help the brother who is oppressed and trying to, shed some light in that situation. Okay, so you can help the oppressed Salman in this situation. He's oppressed. You can help him by giving him a place to stay, saying a kind word to him, kind of supporting him in whatever he might need. That's a way to help the oppressed. How do you help the oppressor? You help the oppressor by stopping him or her or them from the oppression. So if we are people who believe in the words of Rasulullah and by believing them, it has to come into action. So all of those people who see clearly by now, you should see that the brother is getting oppressed. You have to help him and you have to help the oppressor by stopping them. If you can physically, okay. If you can't physically, then you have to speak up and say something about it, and just hating it in your heart, which I'm sure a lot of people do. I know because we get the calls actually, from people who say how much, but they don't say anything. They have the different reasons. I mean, the person who doesn't necessarily. I'm not a big fan of that. But the point is, if you're going to be a follower of Rasulullah, because that's what we're all supposed to be, then it's incumbent upon you to help the oppressor by stopping them from what they're doing and speaking out against it.
Real quick, I wanted to point out another contradiction, how they're really in a bind because the name of MOA is in that Fatima Brewster and whoever, right? And they submitted a dismissal to say, not us. He must have meant somebody else by a similar name. Who's that other organization by a similar name? Tmoa. And now Tmoa submitted a petition saying it's not us, it's the other one. So now both of them have to show up to court, and then basically it's going to confirm that they're all actually the same organization.
Which is foolish on their parts because I don't know what they do in their spare time. I don't know what they got going on, but we actually do keep receipts around here. You understand? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be easily proven that they're the same. They're one and the same. So.
I wonder people in Tmoa or Tmoa. I think we're going with Tmoa now.
Yeah, Tmoa just flowed.
Tmoa. Yeah, Tmoa. People in Tmoa. We know how we know how these groups operate. We grew up in the same cult, whatever. We know how it operates, but we know that they've been telling y'all something different than what we have exposed to y'all. don't ignore that. Pay attention to whatever story they've been telling y'all about the lawsuit and what's been happening. They're like, oh, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. Because I'm pretty sure they tried to sell y'all this glorified statement of basically how they're being oppressed, right? And I'm pretty sure they're not telling you how they called Salman an ISIS Al-Qaeda terrorist and called him a criminal and say he returned to criminal activities, because most of y'all, especially the ones in Virginia and stuff that actually know Salman, would look at the leaders like, you're lying. We know Salman's not like that. We know he's not into crimes. We know he's not Al-Qaeda. We know because if he's Al-Qaeda, then Tmoa is Al-Qaeda because he was part of y'all until y'all decided to kick him out. So just pay attention to those contradictions.
All right, and I'm going to say this because I've been talking a lot, but I have to just get this out. This is very important. This is a message to the family members of Salman. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about the women in his family. And of course, I know everyone gets all scared. Ooh, don't do this. No, I'm about to address this because this needs to be addressed. This is serious. The women in his family, please, inshallah, be very, very careful with how you handle Salman in this situation. Be very delicate. Umi, be very careful how you handle your son. His wives, be very, very careful how you handle your husband. You understand? This is serious, serious stuff. You have to be very careful, because if indeed Salman is a wali of Allah, if he is on the right path, if he is doing the things he's supposed to be doing, y'all will be held accountable for how y'all treat him. His daughters, you will be held accountable. You understand? This is serious, serious stuff. You have to be very careful how you're handling this person, inshallah, because he's still going to be whoever he is. His sisters, he's still going to be your brother. After this whole thing is over, he's still going to be your brother. He's still going to have to look after y'all. You understand? When his mother gets into older age, Salman is going to be there to look after his mother, inshallah. You understand?
Inshallah.
How the daughters handle their father. This is serious stuff. That's still going to be your Abu after this whole situation is over. So just, be very careful with how you're going to deal with him. Be sure to give him his rights. Contact him, check up on him, ask him if he needs anything, if he needs his clothes washed, if he's, how well is he sleeping? What's going on? Can I visit you? Men respect this, and we appreciate these type of things. And it's going to stay with us. You understand how you guys handle when y'all get, well, I have a saying, it's called getting into the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Men, we live in the trenches. We stay in the trenches. We in the trenches. We steadily down there. But we respect and appreciate when some of our family members are willing to hop into them trenches with us and not sit back in the comforts and leisures. Oh, he got this, or some of their little buzz lines. He did this to himself. He did this to himself. We hear that all the time. No, support your family member. Be there for him in these tough times, because he's going to remember that and he's going to appreciate that, inshallah. However things swings.
Even be a little selfish about it, because what I've seen time and time again, when people are put in those situations, as Mubarak is saying and as Hussein are saying, where they have a choice to do nothing or do something, and doing something is the right choice. I see time and time again that when they fail to do the right thing, Allah eventually puts them in the same exact situation or worse.
Absolutely.
So and even going, I know a little bit about Sal's history, his family's history, and what's so different than what happened to his Abu. You can find a lot of similarities. And if it's not going to, what's so different that happened to him and his other brother-in-law, Askari?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's going to, all your family members that are in Tmoa now, what's going to be so different that's going to happen to you in the future, or your kids in the future, that when you sit back and don't do nothing to help your family member who's being oppressed?
Yeah. And again, as men, it's our job and it's our duty to protect our families, save ourselves and our families from the fire. This is our duty as men. So again, in my opinion, based off of the evidence, based off of what we know in the Holy Quran, Solomon is trying to defend his family, defend the honor of his family, and trying to, just like Mubarak has said, he's trying to stop the oppressor from oppressing. This is what he's doing. He got kicked out simply because he notified an individual he was not going to pay these membership dues because the individual would not simply notify him what is it for. I mean, y'all just going to just keep running with the same thing. Oh, it's Mubarak Alani, he helps the poor. He does this, he does that. Well, Mubarak Alani has passed on. Why are y'all still sending money over there? What's the big, what's going on? Doesn't he have a right to know where his money is going that he should be putting towards his family?
What type of organization takes your money, takes your donations, and doesn't tell you, doesn't literally spell out in the mission statement and, the information about the organization tells you exactly what they do with the funds. Now, I'm not saying every organization is forthright and does the right thing with whatever funds they collect or bring in, but every organization usually at least tells you something that they do. Like you can write in the documentation, we collect donations for such and such and such and such, or we charge a fee for this service, this service, this service. Now, maybe they do something differently after they get it, but at least there's some sort of documentation of, hey, this is what we do with it. But for someone to ask, what are you doing with the money, my hard-earned money that I'm working and sweating and my tears and my energy and my time is being spent giving it? What are you doing with it? Where does it go? That's a reasonable thing for someone to ask. Yeah, and for someone to be thrown out and prosecuted and oppressed for that screams cult. I mean, that's the definition of what a cult would do.
And extortion. I mean, it's extortion. I mean, we already know this is a big money laundering scam. I mean, we all know that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But at this point, they're getting real sloppy and they're getting a little, brazen with this whole situation. Now, what we suspect is going to happen is they're going to try to clean up some of this. They're going to try to do like some type of what's it called when you're trying to, clean up your act. They're going to try to do something of this sort here in the future. But we want everyone to pay attention. This information is going to be well documented. We're not playing any games. If we have to be a David to their Goliath, we have no issue doing that. I understand Allah SWT gives whatever he gives to whoever he gives it to. You know what I'm saying? We're not over here acting like we're just some brave Captain Americas or anything. We're trying to do the right thing because Allah SWT told us to do the right thing. You do the right thing when you're supposed to do the right thing. And you try to do as much as you can, as best as you can. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. We're not getting paid off over here. We're trying to help as much as we can the people and the family members that we so loved and cared about. I mean, I'm starting to question all that at this point. I really am. But, you know what I mean? We're still trying to do our best for the sake of Allah SWT. And of course, we care about Sal. Yes, we're going to protect him. We're going to defend his honor. We're going to do the things that Allah SWT tells us to do as Muslims. That's it. We're going to try to refrain from telling lies. We're going to try to refrain from, abusing people and doing all these different things because Allah tells us to not do that. It's as simple as that. Try to do your best as you can. That's all.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. Is there any questions from the audience real quick? Type them in the chat. And
one other thing real quick, I want to suggest to quickly piggyback on what Hussein's saying while you're looking at the questions is that Hussein's right. What they're going to do is they're going to try to loose ends. They're going to try to clean it up. They're going to try to find where, any of their inconsistencies are. And there's a lot. So think about this. And this is one of the statements. I mean, I'll exclude myself from it. I'll let other people say, the people that know me and knew how I came up in Tennessee when I was there, they like Mark Jackson says, they know my work. However, I would say that Ja'far and Hussein, Muhammad Ahmed, and various other people that we've had on or whatever. But as far as I'll just say it, we are and were some of the best of the people who were in TMOA. I mean, if you talk about people who were honest, hardworking, who were people who were respected and leaders and people who were, that moved the needle and pushed the pile. We were the best of the best. Now, and if you look at Salman, by all accounts, and you people that know him know that he's one of the best amongst you. You know that, as far as his character, his pedigree, his accomplishments. You know that he's one of the best of you. Some of you that know him know you're not better than him.
They always wanted him to lead Salat.
So what I'm getting at is that the people that know Salman, you're not better than him. As far as Allah knows everybody's heart, but from what we can tell, we can say honestly, he's one of the best. He's one of the best amongst you. And so I say that when they go to tie up these loose ends, if they'll do that to him, one of the best amongst you, he has a great track record and pedigree and things that the benefits that he's bringing to the community. So what about you people that are less than him, that got less of an ability and less good that you're bringing and coming with than him? You're definitely going to be on the chopping block. You have to look at what they're doing to people who are the best of you, and they will slander and chop them down and cut them down. As soon as one of you step out of line, it's going to be easy. This is hard. They have to tell a bunch of lies about Salman. But as we know, there's some people that are in the community that they don't even need to lie about. Your record is in the courts already. They already got papers on you. They already know. They didn't really have to lie about you, and it'll be easier, and it'd be more. But it might even be believable if they did lie about you. So you got to know and understand these loose ends that are about to be tied up. Y'all about to be some of the loose ends. If they need to clip you and cut you and chop you down and feed you to the wolves like they're feeding Ismail Haq to the wolves, say he had no business doing what he was doing. He wasn't representing us. No one is a lie. So what about you? What about you, Miss Tmoa person or Mr. Tmoa person that's just a regular run-of-the-mill person? You've had all sorts of runs in with him. You're basically, barely in, barely out or whatever, not paying your dues or whatever. You'll be an easy casualty. They're not even going to think about you. Just sweep you off, just get out of here, throw you under the bus and move on. So think about that. Instead of being loyal to an organization that's not going to be loyal to you at all, be loyal to Allah and his messenger and the truth. That's what's going to save you.
I mean, I got one question is, when is the court date? I believe it was February 14th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's just the hearing date.
Hearing date, yeah. So that's the first hearing date. I believe the hearings are public, so you could go witness if you want. We're waiting for the trial date.
Yeah, we'll get that.
It'll be a jury trial, inshallah.
At the hearing. That's what our hopes and intentions are.
Okay. Inshallah.
Yeah. And the next question is, what was the significance of even including the fact that his family occupied that area of the land? Will they call some of the family to testify? My opinion, it was just to paint the picture that this is just like an internal family dispute. That's why they kept mentioning brother-in-law, as if like it's not even worthy of being in court, because it was just brother-in-laws arguing over something trivial.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that's it. All right, Mubarak, you got us.
Just let y'all know, in case anybody forgot, Lahut Lamakan, it is in Pakistan, and that's obviously where the document came from. I have no doubts about that. I'm sure that's where the document came from. That document has Lahut Lamakan written all over it. So it is in Pakistan if you want to visit. So on that note, good show, y'all, brothers. I appreciate y'all. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.